Coming up on OTH, Raymond and I talk about the newest champion teaser before getting into some matches of the first weekend of the Summer Split. We hope you enjoyed this episode of On the Hunt. Welcome, everybody, to episode 58 of On the Hunt, a League of Legends podcast. I'm your co-host, Chris, aka the IT specialist, because I finally got that fucking 8 p.m. call one day where there was a work emergency, and yeah, so like something had to be fixed.
And you did it?
And I it wasn't fixed, but I identified the issue at least. And I wrote a report about it that night.
Nice. Good work, dude.
And yeah, there was a little security breach, and it had to be resolved. We're just kind of butthole, but we got through it.
Yeah, better than it not being resolved, for sure.
Yeah. And joining me on our lovely show today is our other co-host, Raymund. What's going on, man?
Not much, dude. I don't think I've had any exciting emergencies or anything like that, but we're chugging along.
No thrills.
Yeah, no thrills.
How about any new gaming adventures?
Let's see, dude. I think it was last week or the week before I started playing MapleStory again. AKA I played it for like an hour, and I haven't come back very much. So
I don't know why, but there's so many people around me like getting back into MapleStory right now. I don't know if there's some sort of thing where
they updated it. They revamped all the OG classes, dude.
Isn't there like a million classes in MapleStory by now?
Yeah, there is, but like they remade the OG ones, like that you played when you were 6. You know, so now they're now they're brand new again.
I think the highest level I ever got in MapleStory was like level 15 to do like the first class change or something like that. Damn. And that was it. That was the farthest I ever gotten back in like probably 2006.
Yeah,
or something.
If that was back in the day, then like honestly, that's a decent commitment. That's not like, it's not nothing. Nowadays, you'd be level 15 after like 7 minutes. So
yeah, now you can go up to like 240 now or something ridiculous.
I think, yeah.
Yikes. All MMOs get there one day.
It's true.
Anything else? Any other gaming news?
Nothing really. I had a buddy of mine, somebody else asked about like idle games that he could play at work, and I've got a buddy of mine who's like a big idle game connoisseur. He posted up like a list of like 20 of them in our Discord. So there was one that was he was like, oh, this one is kind of new, I haven't seen it before, but it's like a programming idle game. I'm like, dude, bro, that's me, I'm right here. So I have been trying that one out the last couple days, but not very far.
What does that even mean?
It's like you like program these scripts like in the game to like do the idle stuff, like you can click around to do it all, but then you can like write your own programs to do it too. And it's like a cyberpunk.
So you're just writing Python or something?
It's JavaScript, but yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like ironically funny, I guess. Like, isn't that what you would literally do, like writing scripts for?
Yeah, pretty much. I think it's funny because there are definitely games where like that's the like they intentionally make it hard for you to do automation, or like they have some ways where you can kind of program stuff, but it's like deliberately inefficient. Like you can never get it perfect, and so like having you be able to just like write it is kind of like what I want out of those games. But
all right, go ahead and spill the name. No sponsorship. We're just fans.
Shit, what is it called? It's Bitburner. It's on Steam.
Okay.
I think it's like you can play it like on a
Steam.
browser
okay.
too if you want, but it's like free.
All right. They got my attention. How about any League of Legends? I played an ARAM game last night.
Nice.
Picked up the Yasuo because I felt a little spicy, and that champ's busted, actually. I don't know why, but just for the longest time, I was so nervous about playing Yasuo. But then, like, Yone is so much more fun and, like, welcoming. And it's like the gateway drug to Yasuo.
Yeah.
For me, at least.
Yeah, I think that's kind of true. I think Yasuo is, like, it's a little bit, like, yeah, I think you're right. It's like Yasuo is like the full on like crack cocaine, like and Yone is just like it's a little bit of like we're chilling, we're smoking weed,
mild street drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I didn't really. I learned it was one of those Meteos games where you learn the champ after like 50 minutes, and you
Yeah.
just had like one pop off play. It's like, yeah, I'm a Yasuo player.
Was it like 50 minutes and 40 deaths, or like just 50 minutes and you were mediocre before then?
Yeah, like mediocre.
Okay.
Well, no, it was pretty bad. I don't think I ulted for like the first 10 minutes, but that's neither here or there.
Yeah,
Have you been playing any League?
I've played a little bit of League, not a crazy amount, but I've gotten a few games in. I saw. Did you see that they posted an update that they're planning a rework for Sivir, like kind of on the level of the last couple like little reworks they've done, like for Olaf and Talia.
Yeah, the mid scope.
Yeah, the mid scope updates. So I'm trying to get games in with Sivir now since she's my baby.
Okay. Yeah, and I think I also saw a writer say something about that too after one of the teams won with a Sivir comp this weekend, and they were like, "But we're canceling the mid scope or something like
Yeah, I
that.
guess she's
Like,
okay.
no need for it." But yeah, so speaking of League of Legends, let's jump right into our topics for this week. So there's a new champion teaser for a new champion named. I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't watch the thing, so I don't know how it's supposed to be
I
pronounced.
think it's Nilah.
Nilah. Anyways, it's a champion with a water whip. And I thought I had read some links or leaks before saying that she was going to be an AD carry, but when I thought about it, like so soon after the release of Zeri, I don't think that could be right. So, do you know
No,
what kind of champion Nilah is?
I think you're right. I think I've same thing as I thought it was like there's no it's an ADC, but I swear to somebody one of my other friends told me that they said somewhere in one of the roadmaps or whatever that that this was the colorful ADC, and that like hasn't like that's like in line now with like where they were in the roadmaps, and I haven't found like the exact wording for that, so I don't like quote me on it that hard, but I'm pretty sure that she's an ADC, and I've seen other people like on Twitter like kind of casually be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe they're making another ADC that has 70,000 dashes and CC immunity and whatever." But so
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it actually is.
yeah. And so either we're both crazy or we're not crazy, but you weren't joking about that either. So I heard that she has some sort of skill, kind of similar to Gwen W, where it makes you immune or it phases her out of existence so that you can't get hit by skills or something like that.
Yeah, I haven't seen like any leaks or anything. Just the teaser trailer they made, and that's what it seemed like. At least some point in gameplay, there was a TF gold card headed straight for her that she just kind of like decided wasn't gonna hit her, and she kept walking.
Yeah, so pretty cool. I mean, Samira kind of does the same thing. So I guess in the boundaries of gameplay, it's nothing too crazy. But just giving if it is an AD carry, that's just another AD carry with the tools to defend themselves, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm excited. I always like it's always nice when there's a champ for your role coming out, you know?
Uh huh.
It's like sometimes I think I remember when like Yone came out and I was like, damn, Yone's kind of cool. I might try Yone some, but it's like that's not the role I play, and I'm not just gonna shove him into the bot lane when I say, guys, first pick me.
Right. I gotta be honest with you. I'm one of those people who bans the new champ when it comes out because I don't want to play against it, man.
Wow,
I
wow.
if my friend invites me to a norm, I'm banning Belveth. I don't want to see it. I don't want to sit here confused about why she's flapping all over the place and I can't hit her with my Lee Sin Q. Like, it's annoying, man. And
I can
same thing
understand.
with Zeri. Like, why is Zeri flipping over walls, man? I don't want to. This champion creep is getting too much for me. I'm getting old too.
You can only play the champs that you know about, and anything else, fuck that, dude.
Exactly. Anything else about Nilah that you want to chit chat?
No, not until we see some more info. I thought she looked kind of cool, but yeah, obviously we know very little at this point.
For sure. Speaking of very little, there's also a new teaser for another line of Star Guardian skins. I guess it's been a while since the last drop, but I mean, I don't really have anything else to say on this other than like, you remember that one time they had like the Star Guardian game where you would like play basically PVE and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, that was Odyssey, right? Or well, I guess they did it for Star Guardian too, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Odyssey was the one where you had like
The skills and
modified
shit. Yeah,
skills, I believe. Yeah, and you would like it was like Ziggs, Kane, or no. Well, Kane has an Odyssey skin, but I don't know if you could play as Kane.
I think Kane
Whatever,
was
my
the
memory's
final
getting
boss.
bad.
But yeah. No, you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I think it's interesting. You say it's like the new skin teaser, but I'm pretty sure this is gonna be like the summer event, like a la the Ruination and stuff last year. Like this is supposed to be a bigger
Yeah,
thing
and
than
it's
just a
across
skin
all of
drop.
their games
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people talking about it like oh my god, there's so many writers on Twitter that are like, dude, I worked on this and I worked on this, that like this cannot just be like a casual thing. So there's people talking about like those game modes, like if they're gonna do something crazy or just like what else, but we'll see. I think it's this week or next week that they're supposed to have more info based on that trailer.
And then boom, there's a Star Guardian show on Disney Plus or some shit.
Boom,
That would be actually be
baby.
the psycho. That would be crazy actually. Just like totally under the wraps anime drop out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool. But the teaser is pretty nice looking. I can't really tell who it is at the end with like pinkish reddish hair. Obviously, it's a color change for the skin line, but looks pretty nice.
Yeah.
And I would drop some monies on it if there's any honey bunnies out there. I guess.
So not for you. It's just you're gonna buy other people's
No,
skins, is what you're saying? Gotcha.
I mean, just hit me up. Yeah.
This guy has a podcast. He's got some money to spare.
Yeah. Play some ARAMs together. You know how it goes. How about any other League of Legends media? Have you been keeping up with your Hotline League?
I listened to last week's Hotline League. They had Parth on. That was a good episode. I like listening to Parth. He doesn't do
Yeah.
media that you can actually like follow very often. The last thing I think that came out from Parth was when he wrote like a fucking like master's thesis about League of Legends development. Like who the fuck is gonna read that, bro?
Yeah. I thought I also saw him doing like 7 days of spicy tweets on the league scene or something like that, and I didn't really pay attention to it, but
There's
I think he's trying to put himself out there a lot more lately. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, good to hear from him. Guy that's been halfway out of the scene. But other than that, I haven't watched too much or listened to too much. I think there was I did start watching a Double O's Trash Talk episode that came out last week where he was with
Okay. I did watch that. I watched that one just last night.
yeah, I've only seen like the first 10 minutes, so I haven't gone back to it, but I'll finish that one up eventually.
Yeah, that one is not too crazy. Um, to be honest, like nothing too crazy revealed, or it's just kind of like good old times chatting.
Yeah.
It kind of like I don't know if you ever saw the one with Skara and Double Lift on like offline TV. It kind of has a very similar feel to that. As like, hey, do you feel happy to be a part of League of Legends so early on and stuff like that? And hey, how do you feel about getting paid $2 an hour to play League back then? And I don't know. I didn't. It wasn't exciting for me at like looking back on it, but
Fair enough.
I'll usually watch a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have been watching a lot of stuff too. Like I've been watching. I still listen to like Jat's thing, the Joshua Leesman Experience,
Hmm.
and Summoning Insight. And then I was listening to The Jungle just now. I think that's on Dexerto, or maybe that one's on G4. I think it's on Dexerto though. And then I was listening to another Monte Cristo show as well. That one's about CK. I don't know. I listen to a lot of the like talking head podcasts, as you would say it,
Yeah.
when I'm doing some gaming. So it's really not like time wasted to me, to be honest.
Fair.
Even though a lot of the stuff is like 2 hours long somehow.
Yeah, as long as you got the time to get through it all. Respect.
Respect. All right. Now, not much else to talk about for this week, so I think we can just jump right into
Ooh, wait, before
the LCS Summer Split.
One more thing. Have you watched Players at all?
No, I haven't, but I heard you can watch the first 2 episodes or something like that.
Yeah, I think they're on YouTube. I was watching. I think it was Skara who is a bunch of people were like co-streaming kind of the episodes that are on YouTube behind the or in front
Yeah.
of the paywall. So I watched like maybe 10 minutes of the second episode with Skara. Me and Skara were buddies. We watched it together like that.
Uh huh.
But yeah, Other than I don't actually have Paramount Plus, and I haven't gone out to seek out the episodes. But I feel like I've heard a lot of people talking about it. The only person that sounded like they didn't like it was Double Lift. I like tuned into his stream after he watched the episodes, and he was like, "Dude, that was so corny. I don't get it." And I'm like, I think kind of part of the thing is that it's like a little a little corny, but you go Double Lift.
Yeah, it's not really a hot take, and it's not even a unique take. But speaking of Double Lift, did you ever see like the documentary on Netflix about the time when the first split on he was on
Yeah.
TL in 2017, and yeah, and then he has like the backstage call, like that's the kind of like behind the scenes, I guess, or like team content that's like really great storytelling. And then but to my understanding, I haven't watched it, but what I've heard about players is that it's like it has a lot of like comedy written into it. And I guess that makes me kind of sad because I want to I guess as a former esports competitor athlete myself, I want to see like actual like seriousness and competition, and
Well,
it's
it's like
bringing
not a
that onto the
real.
esports space and
It's
stuff
not a
like
real
that.
story, right? Like, is that
Yeah,
what
yeah,
you're
yeah. I understand that.
like? Did you watch American Vandal? It's the same guys that did American Vandal. Like, I feel like it's almost like one of those, like, if you're expecting something else, I think you're like you don't understand what you're going into with it. But
Yeah, yeah. I'm just thinking to myself like a show about the LCS. I wish it was like a really cool like, hey, we followed this whole team for a split or something like
right,
that.
like a legit like Hard Knocks kind of thing, like from the NFL.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then this is what it's like for JoJo to be Ubered from his apartment to the um. I guess I don't know if they have like a sponsored training facility, but then and then this is what he eats for breakfast, and then this is how they do a 2 minute brainstorm about who he's gonna shit talk today. I know that'd be fun. Um, yeah, I guess I'm taking it too seriously, but I haven't seen it, and I wonder if it's fun. It's 2 episodes for free, and I have so many streaming services actually. Like you name it, I probably have it, but
Do
I
you
don't know
have
if Paramount
Paramount
is one of
Plus?
them.
Did you watch? Did you get it to watch the new iCarly, the iCarly reboot?
No,
All right,
but
then you probably don't have it. I don't know what else is on that thing.
yeah. But speaking of reboots, the one that's like How I Met Your Father, that one is not bad actually.
Yeah, I thought that one got a ton of shit. I mean, I'm not gonna watch it, but I thought I remember when it came out that people were just like, "What the fuck is this, guys? Some things do not need to be remade."
Yeah, I was accidentally exposed to like 2 episodes, and it's not bad.
All
I would
right,
throw it on and grind my life away on something.
fair enough.
But back to League of Legends. Yeah, LCS Summer Split took place this past weekend. One of the special super weeks that they have as part of the new process this year. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we were full of games from our 10 LCS teams, and I guess I can just cover the standings at the end of the week. So out in first place, we have 3 teams tied for 3-0. That being Evil Geniuses, Counter Logic Gaming, and Team Liquid Honda.
Teal Honda,
Uh,
baby.
yeah. Next up at fourth place, we have 100 Thieves at 2-1. And then tied for fifth place are 4 teams. We have TSM, Immortals Progressive, FlyQuest, and Golden Guardians at 1-2. And then lastly, to a little bit of surprise, we have Cloud9 and Dignitas tied for last place at 0-3. So I think there's a lot of places to start here. I guess we can just go back to Friday's games. We were saying that we were looking forward to the Evil Geniuses versus Cloud9 game, which I kind of looked back and tuned into. I actually really enjoyed that game. Were you able to catch it?
Yeah, that one was kind of a banger. Like, I think it was really interesting. We weren't sure what to expect out of C9 with the sub roster, not having the normal bot lane at all. Um,
Right, they had Destiny and King instead.
yeah, and I think it went like if you told me this is how the game is gonna go, like it's not that surprising. I think EG ended up with like a much better team comp, like just like really really well, like able to just like hold back Cloud9 in a lot of ways. They had a whole lot of range. They were like it was like Ezreal, and Corki, the classic, and then a couple tanks and a Karma. Like really easy to play out later game fights and sieges and that kind of stuff. and they just really slow grinded the game out of C9. But it was a great performance from Jensen. He was kind of like the point man for their team playing on the Victor, like the only guy who could really do damage. Fudge had a couple scary Fiora moments that were, as anybody who's played against Fiora in solo queue, you're like, holy shit, he's actually gonna do it. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was a good game. I think even with C9 having the subs in and ending up losing the game in the end.
Yeah, it kind of gave you a bit of faith for that Cloud9 as well, not having Jensen back in the roster, Fudge back up top, and then some people were saying that the bot lane was kind of like throwing it, and like you said, it felt like Jensen and Fudge were holding that game together for like the first 25-30 minutes of it, and then eventually, I think I think they had a lead for a lot of the game too, if I'm remembering correctly, and then Evil Geniuses just took it after a couple of good dragon fights near the end.
Yeah, I think it was one of those leads where it's like technically you had a gold lead, but like realistically you didn't have a gold lead just because EG's team was so much better with the resources that they had. But yeah.
Yeah, and Corky, and like you said, Corky is still around doing sick, nasty damage with rockets still.
Yeah, I remember last week when we were talking about whether or not we'd see some new mid laners, and then this weekend was literally all Corky Azir Victor, Corky Azir Victor, Ari.
Yeah.
It was bad, man.
Yeah, still a little bit of Ari in there, but a lot of Corky. A lot of Corky. Were there any other games from Friday that, kind of caught your attention? I have to like scroll back and look myself.
Yeah, let me look back at the schedule to jog my memory. I think Friday was the Immortals, or no, 100 Thieves TSM game. That game was kind of also a banger. Um, it started out looking
Yeah.
like TSM got like a pretty good early lead, and I thought they were like gonna just manhandle the game, but I think I wasn't watching like super closely, but I was, you check over every few minutes and see the kill score just going up and up and up, and then eventually there were a few fights where 100 Thieves just found the optimal fights, and TSM was getting caught out or whatever. I think Tactical had a few, like we might call them ints in some circles, that gave them some openings. But overall, not a bad game I thought from TSM. Just like a harder game to play than they needed it to be, and they ended up losing it.
Yeah, and again, it was another one of those like, oh, if this is how it's gonna start, then like this is looking kind of nice actually.
Yeah, compared to last year, right? Like I'll
Yeah,
like even if it was a loss, it's like, that doesn't feel like you're gonna go 0-8 like to start the season. Like that's not that bad of a loss.
yeah. But speaking of losses, I think the game right after that was Team Liquid versus Immortals, which that was just straight up like a 13-0 game or something like
Yeah,
that.
I think they perfect
Where
gamed them.
yeah, and there's just nothing taken by Immortals. So pretty cool for Team Liquid to come back strong in that sense. And then yeah, followed up on Saturday, we had a couple more games we were looking at. I think another surprisingly again, Cloud9 lost their second game on Saturday to Golden Guardians.
Yeah, and Golden Guardians also did not look very good on day one in their game, so that was like even more of a surprise. Like that C9 is like in a weird spot, but Golden Guardians just kind of came out of the gate swinging and didn't hold back.
Yeah, and then speaking of not holding back, Evil Geniuses were also still popping off against their game and 100 Thieves as well, that I think we wanted to highlight too.
Yeah, this is EG entities. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, EG's looking really strong coming on their first weekend, and I think I heard something from Jat as well that like this is probably the first time in like 5 years or something like that where like the team coming back from MSI, they don't lose like 2 or 3 games in the first weekend of the LCS. Like historically, that has been the way like
Right.
around the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think what was it that I guess even that year it wasn't the what was the year that TSM went like 17-1 and we don't talk about the one. That was a summer split, right? But I'm trying to remember if they won the split before or if that was the 2016 split.
I want to say that was the 2017 split where they lost to Phoenix One at the end or something like
Right.
that.
So they would have gone to MSI that year. But you're right. Yeah, like it
Wait,
has been
but
a while.
but that can't be. But didn't they play matches at that time? So how could they have one loss? Did they lose twice to Phoenix One?
Yeah. I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. Um,
Okay. Then yeah, then they must have gone to NSI, but they must have gone to MSI with Wild Turtle then.
right. But still to that degree. Anyway, but like yeah, it has been a
Yeah.
while for sure since we've had a team like come out the gates this strong in the summer. I mean, they talked about it. I feel like even EG, the people we've heard from EG this week, have said like how they don't have like super high expectations about it. Like the plan is to take it slow and ramp up as the split goes on, and just to come out and get the big 3-0 this week against no slouches of teams, and the having like the finals rematch with 100 Thieves and beating Cloud9 even if they're on in the sub week. Like that's a big 3-0 weekend for EG.
Yeah. And then yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the other 3-0 teams as well. So, yeah, Team Liquid also secured their third win against Cloud9 on Sunday. And they're looking really solid. I think Bjergsen really popped off in that game playing as LeBlanc, and then it seems like they're really like tightened up with their gameplay. I think a lot of them boot camped in Korea, like you were talking about last week.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm really impressed by TL so far this split. I think we talked about it a little last week, and the general consensus around TL is kind of like after last split, TL was a really good regular season team. Like we know they can be good, but they're gonna have to do something special this split to like prove that they're not just gonna sputter out in playoffs like they did and get knocked out at third place. Um, and so far, like this is kind of as much as you could ask out of TL. Like the perfect game, I think Bjergsen was like over the weekend, like the 3 games over the weekend was like 18-0 and like 15, like a
Yeah, it didn't die.
yeah, didn't die at all. Had like great score lines. The team's playing really well together. Yeah, I think there's a lot to like about this TL squad so far, even if you had your doubts coming off the last split.
Yeah, and then I guess we just have to cover CLG 3-0 on the Hunt podcast.
Yeah,
They're definitely hunting right now, having victories over Dignitas, TSM, and Golden Guardians, and it seems like the Dokla change is doing pretty great for them so far.
yeah, I really thought this was a good weekend for CLG too. I mean, obviously they went 3-0, but like they're playing like probably the most unique like meta style out of all the teams, especially the 3-0 teams. Like EG I think is probably playing pretty standard like what was coming off of the MSI meta. Um, but C9 or sorry CLG is playing like all the Yone top for Dokla. They've played double enchanter bot lanes. They picked up the lethality Sivir for Luger. Like just a lot of like different kind of takes on the comps that you can play with this on this patch, and they've done like really well with it. Like I think probably it's not like this was a stomp 3-0 for CLG in every game. Like I think the TSM game probably could have gone the other way. I think the last game they had against Golden Guardians like also felt like you weren't sure about it until the very end. It was they definitely played the old school CLG Sivir comp of just group and win lol at some point, but they did win, so you can't really tell them they did it wrong. But it didn't feel like they were a little alternatively to like the TL games, where I think in every one of those games it was like, damn, TL's gonna win this game. Like CLG had to pull it out a little bit, but they still like it looked like this was all part of their game plan. Like in hindsight.
Yeah, and then I think again I listened to this on Jat's podcast that a lot of the CLG players are like the Champions Queue grinders. We know that Dokla was like I think I want to say second place
Hmm.
out of the whole like first half of Champions Queue
I think he won one of those
prize
splits,
winners.
right? Or the like
I think he did
heats.
win the second split,
Yeah,
yeah. And then the technically the third split was canceled, and then like overall rankings, I think he was placed top 3
right,
because of that. Even though he was like not even close to the top in split 1 or something like that.
right.
And I think a couple of the other CLG players are like really heavy Champions Queue grinders as well. So it goes to show that like when you play so much, and then I guess they have a good grasp on the meta after the balance patch, after the patch, after the balance patch, and then um, taking it into there and showing that gameplay off. So I'm kind of happy to see that.
Yeah, I hope for their sake that this isn't just like the same like 3-0 weekend as last year's CLG where they just played Vi Galio for 3 games and won them
Yeah.
all. and like that they have other strats. Like if they just try and run back exactly what they did this week and get O2 next week, then I'm a little worried that they found the one good coin in their pocket and now have blown it in week one. But I don't feel that way. Like right now, I don't have reason to think that right now. But it's what I'd be worried about if I was a CLG fan.
For sure. Any final thoughts on week one of the summer split of LCS?
Um, I don't know. I think the only thing I'm like worried about still is the C9 like O3. Um, like I think it is easy to say like, oh, they had King and Destiny, like they shouldn't have been O3 with their Rumble team. But at the same time, I feel like some of those games like you should have been able to win with Jensen and Fudge, just like and Blabber. Like that top side should be able to win a game. I think if you have, if especially if you're just putting your bot lane on like Tom Kench Senna and that kind of thing. Like
Yeah,
you,
multiple
yeah, you
times.
should
Yeah.
you should be able to win with a Tom Kench Senna. Like I could almost play Tom Kench Senna in LCS. It seems like. Um, but yeah, I'm not like super worried about him, but just it's a worrying trend. Maybe would be the way to put it. Other than that, I don't know. Nothing too crazy. The bottom teams, I mean, it's half of the league. More than half of the league is at 1 and 2 right now, or worse. So it's not like there's a lot to like dig into. I think anybody will need a few more weeks to shake out. But I don't have any like hot takes about any of those teams down there like deserving to be down there or not deserving to be down there at the moment.
Yeah, I'm with you on Cloud9. Actually, I am a little worried about them, even if it seems like Berserker's back in the country and Sven is just he might be on hold as well.
I think they are both back now. I think I saw that Sven was back on like Saturday and he was like memeing like he was going to show up in some of the games, but
Uh-huh.
obviously that didn't happen. But Berserker's back as of like yesterday, I think. So they should have their full
Right.
roster for this weekend.
Yeah, full roster of green cards. And I don't yeah, unless Berserker and Sven are that good, I don't know if this will skyrocket them from literal last place to top 3. And yeah, I mean they could go 3-0 next weekend and suddenly they're in like second or third place with that. But that was a pretty rough start with 0-3, and they have a bit of catching up to do. And yeah, like a lot of people are, it just takes one win and you'll go up to 5th place. But we'll see. But starting with next Saturday's games, the very first game is going to be the two defeated teams at 0-3. You have Dignitas and Cloud9 matching up against each other. So there's going to be only one team with only losses, just right off the bat.
Dude, that's got to be a like proof that LCS is scripted, right? Like there's no other way that Dig C9 would be game 1 of week 2.
Yeah. But other than that, any other Saturday games that seem interesting to you, just from a matchup perspective?
Um, uh, I think honestly, I think 100 Thieves Golden Guardians is probably like not a bad matchup for Golden Guardians. Or like it'll be an interesting matchup overall. I think Licorice has been one of the people that pulled out like Kale this weekend.
Yeah, in the win versus C9.
Yeah, and that's something that I think a lot more we've seen a few more like of those like carry Punisher picks into tank top laners and stuff. Someday is a notorious tank top enjoyer, but I also think he's pretty good at being like, oh, I'm gonna bait you into thinking I'm just gonna play tanks every game, and then when you pick a dumb like counter matchup like that and blind it, like I'm gonna pick Fiora and shit on you. So we'll see if that happens in that game, but otherwise I think like that's a decent matchup for them overall. Stixxay has looked like really good. I think being like even last split when he was in academy, and like now in his first weekend, even they only picked up the one win. I think he's looked pretty good in their games, like knowing that what to do as a AD carry player and that kind of stuff. So we'll see how he matches up against FBI, who's been one of the better ADCs in the league for the last couple of years. And then other than that, like it's that seems like a pretty even matchup.
Awesome. I'm actually looking forward to the TSM Team Liquid game. One, because TSM chants are back. Two, because I want to see how Maple stands up against this full stack roster of Team Liquid, and if he can be able to like show that he's still a good player after all this time. I think he had a fine performance in week one, watching him play a bit of Azir, and I think he had a quirky game as well, where it seems like he's fine mechanically, at least on those champions.
Yeah.
And we'll see what he pulls out, this following weekend, and it was his first time against on stage at least against one of the powerhouses.
Yeah, and against Bjergsen just to prove like that he deserves to have stolen his spot, right? That's a big one.
Yeah. But other than that, not too many other crazy games on Saturday for me.
Yeah, I think those are the big ones for sure.
And then leading into Sunday, I think we could have an interesting game for Cloud9 versus 100 Thieves. Last splits, top four teams. This split not looking too hot for Cloud9, but this is going to be a pretty important game for Cloud9 to start their claw back if they are going to do that.
Yeah, that's true. I guess the big thing, I guess, for Cloud9 is that you don't. I mean, going 0-3 this week, it's not that bad if you're assuming that that's like their, like clearly their lowest power level, that kind of thing. But just the fact that, I mean, it's only an 18 game season. Imagine if they like don't win that dig game. Even if you do win that dig game, you're going into 100 Thieves on Sunday and having like basically having to win that to salvage your first 2 weeks, right? And if you lose that game and you're 1-4, even with your normal roster and you've only like split games like that, I think that just feels bad when you think about having to like make your way back into a normal playoff standing. Like 4 wins in the first round robin or 4 losses in the first round robin is like not a great place to be when you're a team like C9.
Yeah, and I'm one of those people who are like, I'm gonna give a lot of credit to 100 Thieves now for, I think this is their third split in a row, like of having the same team, or might even be fourth. I'm not too sure. Um,
Yeah, I think it's
and
I think it's
even though
three,
they,
right? With
oh, with Abadage,
yeah,
yeah,
with
you're right.
Abadage.
Um, And yeah, even though they had I was remembering last split where they had a rough start, and for the first like 8 weeks, we were like, I don't know about 100 Thieves, man, I'm worried. And then
Yeah.
they popped off like really hard in Summer Split, so I'm giving them a lot of leeway this time to like kind of believe that they're a strong top three team. And they've really only had one, their outing against EG in the first week. But I'm going to believe that they're pretty strong, so I would probably actually hand it over to 100 Thieves for this matchup against Cloud9.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I'm kind of with you. I don't want to be a 100 Thieves doubter when the evidence is like pretty in 100 Thieves favors most of the time. So yeah, I'd believe that they can take it for sure.
And then I think another Sunday game we'll have to keep an eye on is our two currently undefeated teams matching up against each other with CLG and Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, that's got to be a big game. I mean, like you said, the two undefeated teams. It's like this is like the true test for CLG. Um, Not that they, I guess, I mean, didn't really
Yeah,
have
the
a
fraud
bad test.
check.
Yeah, but this is definitely the fraud check. Like you're playing the number one team. Last week's wins were all like technically bottom of the table teams in spring, right? So this has got to be a real like you're playing the big boys now. Can you still replicate your results?
For sure. Anything else about Sunday's games of the next week at LCS?
I think those are the big ones. We'll see how things shake out, how the lower half of the table finds their way this weekend.
All right. And I think kind of the last topic I want to talk to you about is, what are your feelings on EG after this, first week of LCS? They kind of, so the conversation around them wasn't too hot coming off at MSI. At least they made top four. At least they beat all of the minor regions. But their record against major regions wasn't too hot, and a lot of people walked away from that of thinking like, oh, at least they got experience. And so now they come back and they're jamming all of NA over again. And so,
Yeah.
I get my question to you is like, is EG legit, or are we considering them like guaranteed top three into playoffs most likely?
I think so. Honestly, like at this point, I would argue for similar reasons why you're a little worried if you're Cloud9 going 0-3, even if it's just the first week. I think you got to be a little excited for EG going 3-0, even if it's just the first week. One, EG played against a lot better teams, like on paper, than C9 did in their losses necessarily. Um, and then I think that Well, I guess it's not that different, but like they played against pretty good teams on paper. Plus, you're coming like straight off of MSI. You've had like basically no time off because of all the travel and all that. You've barely scrimmed. Like I think they said they only had like a week and a half of scrims like leading up to the LCS. Um, like this is a really good showing from this team, and to pick up a couple of key wins in that first week, like against 100 Thieves and against C9, are just really good to have on your record. And again, just like an 18 team or 18 game split. So even if they did have at this point, it's like even if they did have a couple weeks of like slumping once they like are back in the swing of things, kind of they have plenty of time to ramp back up and make it back into playoffs. I think it like just coming off of like that long of a break kind of thing, and being maybe burnt out like Danny was after MSI, being able to like show that you still got it and like kind of shit on teams still is a big deal, I think.
Yeah, and I remember some of the conversation around the end of the spring split was like it was kind of a combination of TL and 100 Thieves playing bad at the end of playoffs, in addition to EG really finding their stride with the whole Jinx picks and the kind of funneling strategy they were finding success with on that. But then I'm really glad to see them coming back and really hit the ground running in this split as well with not too different of a meta. Still a lot of Corki around and stuff like that. A lot of Viego running around.
Yeah.
But they seem pretty solid with what their game plans are and how they're executing around a lot of team fights and stuff like that too. So I'm thinking that they're like a legit team.
Yeah. I mean, I think you'd have to like really have some interesting arguments to try and argue that they're not legit right now. I don't, they're. It's not to say that they can't fall off, but they're definitely right now they're a top team.
That's going to be it for episode 58 of On the Hunt, a League of Legends podcast. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on the service that you're listening to us on if you haven't already. We are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube as well. It's actually pretty cool to like be on Spotify and then like you can search On the Hunt and it'll pop up and you'll be like, dude, I'm on Spotify. Very nice. I don't remember the whole outro script still, so that's pretty much it. I hope you guys have a good time. See you all next week on another episode of On the Hunt.
Yes, sir.